watching it, especially those first 3 quarters, it was one of the worst quarterback performances that I've ever seen by somebody who ever had the word Heisman candidate next to their name. You know, Arch Manning is the overwhelming favorite, was the overwhelming favorite heading into the season to win the Heisman. And I think in game 1, he lost all consideration. Okay, so week 1 of college football went down. Samaria. It is now Tuesday because, of course, we had the long weekend. Shout out to everybody who took the day off for Labor Day, as we did. I need to know your biggest takeaways from week 1 of CFB.
Okay, so I have a few losers. I hate to call them losers, but
damn, out the gate, starting with the negative. Okay, I see where you at today.
We're gonna start with the negative. And I have a few, but we're gonna start with what I think is probably not the biggest, but it's talked about the most, and that's Arch Manning in the University of Texas.
No, it's the biggest. It's the biggest.
Well, I didn't want to put that much pressure because this is what I think. I think that this kid has already had an immense amount of pressure put on him to be as good as his grandfather and his uncles. He sat behind Quinn Ewers for 2 seasons, and everybody thought that he was ready. Unfortunately, he got hit with this curse of being held to this really high standard in the preseason, and all eyes are on him right now. Granted, they were taking on Ohio State. They're the reigning national champions, but I thought that he was going to look a lot better than he did. So he went 17 of 34, 170 yards, a touchdown, and an interception. What did you make of Arch's performance?
I thought it was abysmal. I thought it was terrible. And that 171 is not indicative of how bad he played. Even that stat line sounds a lot better than it actually was. Watching it, especially those first 3 quarters, it was one of the worst quarterback performances that I've ever seen by somebody who ever had the word Heisman candidate next to their name. You know, Arch Manning is the overwhelming favorite, was the overwhelming favorite heading into the season to win the Heisman. And I think in game 1, he lost all consideration. There's nothing else that he can do the rest of this season to make up for that abhorrent performance. Outside, if he goes undefeated the rest of the way, sure, but I don't really see that happening. I do have to be mindful of the fact that, like you said, he was playing against Ohio State, and Ohio State is known to have phenomenal DBs and corners. So maybe there's a situation where his receivers couldn't get separation. But I saw some balls and I saw some things in his throwing motion and mechanics that didn't really look like number 1 overall draft pick. He kind of throws a sidearm. There was some really easy, that last throw on 3rd down, the guy was wide open, it's 3rd and 5, and you couldn't make that pass. It was a disgusting performance. As I sat in Martha's Vineyard on by the water, I was watching, like, can we watch anything else? I turned the US Open on at some point. I was just like, this ain't it. This ain't it, man. That was bad.
Yeah, no, it was really interesting. And I know that Steve Sarkisian is this offensive mind. He was considered a guru when he was at Alabama. And I know he was like, what is going on? Because this is not the same poise that we saw in Arch in previous seasons when we got to just kind of see him jump in a game really quick. He always just had this level of confidence that we did not see when his number was actually called. So I kind of hate that for the kid because, like I just said, he has this pressure to be as good as the name on the back of his jersey, and he wanted to go to Texas to kind of create his own lane. He could have easily went to Ole Miss, where they literally practice in the Manning Center. You know what I mean? But he's like, no, I want to go.
Or Tennessee.
Yeah. He's like, no, I want to go where I can create my own name for myself. And week 1, he hasn't done that. They will take on San Jose State this weekend, so maybe that'll be an opportunity for him to kind of get the early jitters out of the season.
Yeah. I think that's a bad job by the AD as well. Scheduling that game out the gate. I don't know why you would do that to yourself. Everybody needs tune-up games, like, to come out the gate playing Ohio State. Yeah, if he had won it, but the odds are, like, I'm not a proponent of starting out with that kind of opponent in week 1. I mean, granted, you get those games out the way, and in the back half of your season, you can still kind of be in consideration for the college football playoffs. So I understand it's a bit of strategy. I just think booking Ohio State for that is that's a little too aggressive, my guy. Like, that was wild.
And you may likely play them again in the playoffs or in the national championship game. So
yeah.
Okay, number 2. Kalen DeBoer in the University of Alabama.
You love this. You love this.
I feel bad. No, why? I feel bad because they look bad. And the days of the Alabama that we knew and I hated as an Auburn fan are over. Those days are over. You know what's funny? I'm watching the Dallas Cowboys documentary on Netflix. If you haven't seen that, please go watch it. It's great storytelling. It was shot well, all the things. And this is giving when Jimmy Johnson walked away and Barry Switzer came in, because Nick Saban was known to be very hard-nosed, very strict. My husband played for Alabama, right? So he talks about how they couldn't wear earrings. Yeah, he did.
I didn't know he went to Bama.
Anyways, so he talked about how like Saban would not let them wear earrings. They couldn't wear swag during the games. Like he was very, very strict. There was like this level that they had to be like, because he's going to cuss you out. Like I'm not your friend. And I think that Kalen DeBoer came in knowing that he was kind of in this territory that he's unfamiliar with in the SEC, and felt like, okay, I can get kids to buy in if I'm friendly with them, if these are my homeboys. And that is not how it needs to be. He kind of let the reins go a little bit from Nick Saban's era, and that is not boding well for the Crimson Tide.
Well, okay. I mean, it's one game, and for all we know, Florida State could be a lot better than we anticipated. Shout out to CJ Daniels, one of the most spectacular catches you will ever see. Just a phenomenal one-hand catch. But you can't replicate who and what Nick Saban is. I don't care who you are, right? Like that's a mold that's kind of a one-on-one. And you had to find, I mean, Alabama is Alabama and the brand is the brand, but you have to find a way to continue that pipeline. If that calls for you making adjustments in how you interact with the kids, that's what you have to do. Because you're not going to be able to sell not just players, but parents the way that Nick Saban was, right? There's a certain thing that happens when that kind of greatness walks into somebody's living room and say, hey, we want you. You know, you can't do the Nick Saban thing. And so you will have to find your own footing, your own lane in order to attract recruits, you know, because at this point with NIL, everybody's for pay. So in addition to the pay and compensation, what else do you offer that can entice student athletes if you don't have a track record of greatness? And so for some of these young athletes, I'm sure it's relatability. That goes a long way, especially in the social media era. People are looking for people that they can relate and connect with. And so, just it's one game, and we, Bama has a tendency to, because of their strength of schedule, to always be in the hunt. Right. They always end up in the college football playoffs one way or another. So this one loss won't necessarily define their season, but we'll see what happens going forward. I feel bad. What's the young wide receiver's name? That was a freshman last year.
Williams.
Ryan Williams, who got hurt in this game. But
he looked like a shell of himself, Rodney.
Well, he didn't have nobody to throw him the damn ball. He didn't have no quarterback to give him the ball. That's the problem. Yeah. So it doesn't matter how good a receiver is. If you don't got a quarterback, what the hell does it matter? And they ain't right now, they don't have that.
And I'm not trying to be like, oh my gosh, the world is ending when it comes to Alabama. But we've seen them have some really terrible losses last season. Mm-hmm. And I thought that there would have been a change. Like, okay, we had the first season out the way. This year we coming in and we're not going to get beat like that. We don't see Alabama lose in the way that they have lost in the last two seasons. We don't see that every day. That's what I'm trying to say, is I feel like it's going down. Okay. Last but not least, Bill Belichick.
Oh man, talk about getting that ass whooped. Oh boy, Billy boy.
What's so crazy is everybody was so excited except Bill himself, because first drive he didn't even smile. Like, come on, Bill. But you had all the stars in there. They had a packed house, and I thought that we were prepared to see a really good ball game, Monday Night Football.
No.
And as soon as TCU's defensive coordinator was like, oh, okay, because obviously there was no film on any of these kids. They had 70 new kids on the roster in North Carolina. Once he was like, oh, okay, I see what they're doing. They had a clock up. It was like 10:20 Eastern time that quarterback, Gio Lopez, had not completed a pass since 8:12 Eastern time. Yeah. It was bad.
I'm gonna be honest. I turned this off. I didn't complete this. The Open was on. I was watching tennis, and it was because like after UNC's opening drive, right? They went on a 70-yard drive, scored a touchdown. There was a lot of excitement. I went to college in North Carolina, not at UNC, but A&T, and so half of my school is UNC fans, and so I'm watching people post about how excited they are that the new Carolina is here, and yada yada, so on and so forth. And then I think on their third drive was when I realized, oh, this is about to get nasty. This is about to get ugly. And I turned the game off. There's no way to really make up in one off season how deficient Carolina was. I don't care who was at the helm. right? Like there's no way to really turn the corner fully like that. And while they had some good recruits, I don't think they had anybody that is a world changer. They didn't sign a Cam Newton. They didn't in the portal. So there was nobody that was going to come in there that's on that roster currently and completely change what Carolina football is about. Not even Bill Belichick. And considering everything else that has come along with Bill Belichick since he arrived in UNC, I don't know how focused this team even is or can be. And Bill was optimistic, which was kind of cool to see him take that position. Said, we're a lot better than we showed tonight. We'll see. SMU TCU, excuse me, is a dynamic football program. They don't slack. You know what I'm saying? They're not. That's a legit football program. And so we'll see what Wynn's able to pick up in the ACC, which really only has 2 competent teams every year in Clemson and Florida State. So I didn't expect much out of Carolina football. I'm going to be honest.
I thought it was going to be better than that.
No, man. No.
I did. I really did. And I felt like, or maybe I can ask you this. Do you feel like he needed to win this? Because I do. No. I think that let me tell you why I think he did. Because there was so much stuff happening this offseason where, like you just mentioned, like how much was the focus really on football when talking about the Tar Heels? We weren't really talking about the program itself. We're talking about Belichick and the girlfriend that they flashed, during the game. And that's great. And how old she is compared to the backup quarterback. They the same age. Like that's what people were talking about this offseason.
Shout out to Bill. Way to go, bro. That's how you do it.
And they talking about when the score was 41-7, that's how old they both were in 2008. Like stuff like that. That's what people were more focused on this offseason. And I feel like if he had gotten a win and if they had won handedly, we would be like, oh, okay, like that was just nothing. Now that's being brought back up because it's like, do you really want to be a head coach? Like, or are you capable of really being a head coach in college football? Because like I said, opening drive, they look great. They pan to him. He's like,
well, that's Bill.
Can we get a smile, Bill?
What do you want him to do? A backflip? He's Bill Belichick. He always been that way. He always been a sourpuss. He's not going to change his personality. Like that's not going to happen.
That's not that hard, right?
No,
he looked like he didn't want them to win.
Nah, you know what it is, and I can kind of be this way too. When you have certain expectations, you don't get overly joyful about small steps on the way to real victory. And I think that opening drive, while sure he might have been proud of his guys, I think that he didn't want to fall into a place of complacency. And he didn't want his players to fall into a place of complacency. Being complacent is one thing. Being outclassed is another. You can't help the fact that your football team is just not good enough, to beat TCU. But I don't have a problem with him not smiling. Like that's just not where he's at. If they win the ACC and win the college football playoff, I'm sure you'll see a smile out of him. But until then, like an opening touchdown drive just ain't really worth too much emotion in my estimation.
Okay. Well, did you have any winners from the weekend?
Yeah, Florida State. Their quarterback Castellanos, he played phenomenal. I'm looking forward to seeing how they continue to progress the rest of the season. I don't have a college football like team or program, but I just love, I've always had an affinity for Florida State, probably because of their colorway. I love their colorway, if I can be honest. And, I was a huge, Peter Warwick and Charlie Ward fan back in the day. So, I look forward to seeing how they progress. I think, who else was impressive? Oh, I was so glad to see Notre Dame lose. I despise Notre Dame, bro. I despise Notre Dame. I don't know why. Something about that program.
Over LSU, though?
Yeah, man.
That's a tight one.
Nah, anytime. So shout out to LSU. Thank you for making my weekend. I just don't like Notre Dame. Their coach's hairline is way too perfect. Like, it's just too much. Like, they just got.
Do you think it's drawn on or tattooed on?
I was trying to study it but I was like,
because it was raining and it didn't move.
Yeah, but what was it supposed to do in the rain if it's his hair? If it was drawn on and it would leak down his face.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think that it's too perfect.
No, I think it's natural.
Jalen Rose.
I think it's natural. I think it's all natural.
I feel like there's pictures of him and it wasn't like that.
Well, I need to go to his doctor. Who is doctor?
Allegedly.
Yeah.
This is all alleged.
Who else? Penn State had a good showing. They just have some
Penn
running
State,
backs.
yeah.
Every year they got a running back that he just jumps out the screen. I'm just like, damn. And I don't like Penn State either. Yeah,
my Tigers looked good.
Okay. I didn't watch Auburn's game. You tell me more about that. I know
We got a new quarterback, Jackson Arnold. He was doing the little dance. I was like, okay.
You look old right now. Okay.
Huh?
No, you just looking real auntie-ish, real Mary J. Blige. He's looking real MJB.
Yeah, Auburn looked good. Georgia looked like Georgia. They beat Marshall 45-7. Didn't think that was going to be anything better. Oh, also Michigan, Bryce Underwood. Yes. We saw his debut. True freshman. Looked pretty solid to me. Of course, they played New Mexico, so it's going to be interesting to see moving forward when they really get into Big Ten play how he's going to fare. But I'm rooting for the kid.
Yeah, my biggest one out of week one, it's going to Florida State's receiver, CJ Daniels. Just a spectacular catch. I don't know what the Bama safety was doing. You got to make a play on something, either the ball or the person.
I feel bad for him.
You're gonna look crazy forever. That's one of those plays that'll be around forever and always. And he was just like, it's like, you gotta make a play, do something, bro. Like attack the ball, attack the body, something. Happy retirement to Lee Corso. I thought Lee Corso had or something, the way they was talking about the man on TV. They had the man a picture posted up on the front page of ESPN. I was like, oh no, not Lee Corso.
He's 90 years old.
He's 90, man. People getting old. I saw Steve Spurrier I was like, I had to triple take at Steve Spurrier. I was like, damn, that's Steve Spurrier. He looking old. He's starting to age a little bit. It's like, oh snap. Yeah, interesting times, man. Take us out of here, man. Take us out of here.
Yes, that's all from us, though. But drop down in the comments and let us know who were your winners and losers week one college football. Who are you most excited to see this upcoming season? And I really want to hear your Heisman favorites after we've seen one weekend of college football. Please drop down in the comments and let me know.
Yeah, make sure you tap into our newsletter. It's right in the bio. Make sure you tap in. And next time I see y'all, I'll have a t-shirt on under my kimono because a lot of boobage. I had to keep making sure my didn't pop out.
Ciao.